Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We're live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff and Hugh Macdonald here with me in the studio. Thank you very much to each and every one of you for joining us on a regular basis, weekdays at 4 o'clock. If you like what you see, don't forget to share it with your friends, tell them all about it. We've got an ever-growing audience now. We're exclusively on this show weekdays at 4 o'clock. And if you hit the subscribe button, then you'll be able to join the football family. We talk football. If you love your team, then we'd love to hear from you. You can give us your opinion on the live feed, and of course if you download the app, it's all at your fingertips. Breaking news right across the globe on the app, and you can watch the show at your leisure. Simple as that. I've done all the PR stuff. Let's get into the meat and bones. There's lots to talk about. Aberdeen, who's going to be the new manager. Scottish Cup quarter-final draw is on our minds. We'll talk about last night's win for Dundee against Peterhead. Stuart Robertson's been talking to Sky Sports about that long road back for Rangers, 10 years since administration. We're back on the Champions League trail, and we continue our countdown to the Europa League match. It's in Germany. It's Borussia Dortmund against Rangers, and then of course Celtic against Bodo Glimt. And I've also put together what I think is quite a formidable 11, the best 11 players I think that have played from 2000 to 2022 in the Champions League. I've picked 11, knowing full well I'll get battered by the legend that is Hugh Macdonald, and every now and then Ruffy will come up with a golden nugget of a player that I've completely forgotten about, and you can offer us your opinion as well. So Aberdeen, Ruffy, Jim Goodwin seems to be the man they want to talk to. St Mirren digging their heels in at the moment. It looks as if they're saying, listen, you can talk to him as long as you're going to give us $250,000 in compensation.
Yeah, it's a lot of money for anybody, but that's the way these things sort of pan out now, you know, and it looks as if they're going to go down the road of still a young up-and-coming manager, not a manager with bags of experience. So it'll be interesting to see what other players, managers they want to interview, because I'm sure there's a lot of them out there looking for a job.
Yeah, and of course, quite a few people. One feed says, Peter, is Jim Goodwin a personal friend of yours, like Sean Maloney? No, you meet people along the way. You judge people as a manager on the results and where they go.
And he's got a more than decent pedigree. He did very well at Alloa. Now, after he goes into St Mirren, which is wasn't he a club on the rise as such at that time, and he stabilised them, taking them forward. Had a sticky spell with them, but made good decisions, brought good players in. His recruitment's been strong considering his budget. He's an intelligent man. He's certainly got a way of playing at St Mirren that's been really successful. I think he's a good, strong candidate.
Yeah, I would agree with everything Hugh said there, and again, anytime you speak to players that play under him, coaching's good. It just depends where Aberdeen see their next step. He's got to get it right this time, that we've seen them before going for an experienced guy, and these experienced guys, you've got Paul Lambert saying, I'm available. People like that, at a left field. So if he's identified Jim Goodwin, it looks as if it's that kind of manager they're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting situation. I think they need somebody who absolutely gets the Scottish game, Hugh. And I also think it needs to be somebody that's hungry as well and can pick a player. And I think Jim's got that pedigree. He's earned, I think, enough of a right to make that step up.
Yeah, and see, I think one of the great misconceptions at the moment is that everybody's talking about that's Aberdeen's season over. Aberdeen's season is not over. Aberdeen are down at the bottom of that league. It's not far-fetched to think they could fall further. The Aberdeen have to start winning games. Everybody's talking about, I have to get in the top six. Aberdeen's got to get a bit away from the bottom three, or certainly from the bottom two, create a distance from that. Yeah. So it's a real job. He has to stabilise it first. I think that's why Goodwin will be excellent in that he's hitting the ground running. He knows the league. He'll know Aberdeen players as well. It's not as if he has to sit and study in detail before he goes. So I think that's part of the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the one thing that I think he'll do immediately, Ruffy, is work out if he's got enough defenders to shut up shop at the back.
Yeah, I think the new manager coming in really has to identify the strengths of the players he's got, because there are two or three players just not playing in the right positions, and they're getting moved about. Have been really impressed with the boy Ramirez, if we get somebody to get him quality in ball into the box. I think that would be a big stride for them. But no, he's got Craig Brown there. I would like to think Craig's got something to say about, he's had a wee chat with him and said, right, here we are, this is the situation we're in, what would you do? And maybe he's got some kind of input in it.
Yeah, well, we'll see if St Mirren eventually budge on the compensation and whether Aberdeen and Dave Cormack are willing to stump up that kind of money to get their man. Jim Goodwin's certainly at the forefront at the moment. We'll see how that story develops. Before we get to the quarter-final draw of the Scottish Cup, which was made yesterday, there was one team that was still hoping to get there. It could have been Peterhead or Dundee. In the end, the Dark Blues managed to get the win. Penalty from Charlie, lovely cross-field pass to set up McGinn, and then they got a third from Mulligan just to put the icing on the cake. But do Peterhead deserve a wee bit of credit, Hugh?
Absolutely. I think that old cliche, the scoreline's very harsh on them. I think that applies here. I mean, if they'd have got what seems a Stonewall penalty as well. I think that they worked out very well for Dundee because, they're going up there not in the greatest form. It's a game to nothing for Peterhead in many ways. And I think Dundee will be more than happy with a night's work, not only getting into the next round of the Cup, which is after all is the purpose of the game, but a clean sheet, 3 goals, and every win, at this time for James Papinkney's side is a good one. I thought Peterhead were a bit unlucky.
Yeah, absolutely. Played some nice football. It's hard to believe that they're where they are in the league at the moment, 3 off the bottom, Ruffy. And I think Hugh's right. I thought it was a Stonewall penalty at 1-0 to Dundee.
Well, I would disagree a wee bit with the penalty that Dundee got. I thought he'd lost control of the ball. The ball was going away for a throw in. The goalkeeper obviously did hit him, but I thought he hit him after he'd lost control of the ball.
Yeah.
So I would be a wee bit grieved with that. It definitely was a penalty. And Peterhead hit the post. One of them hits the post and it runs along the line.
Yeah.
If that goes in, then you start to panic a wee bit if you're a Dundee player. And certainly up until Dundee got the penalty, there wasn't much between the two sides. And considering the gap and where they are in the leagues, you have to give all credit to Peterhead.
Yeah, absolutely. I like Jim McInally. I like the board's attitude to it, which is basically why sack you and then get somebody to come up here when we know you've done a great job for us. We're not going to be, hailing you 1 minute and then trying to beat you out the door the next, because we've got our own expectations and the fans know that too.
Exactly, and they've got a decent, honourable man in Jim McInally as well, so he'll put the work in. He's got a system. He's got his acolytes, and I think Simon Ferry's doing a lot more of the coaching now as well. He's bringing that on, and there's a great spirit. I mean, all these guys have got to train in Dundee. God knows what they were doing in COVID, but they all had to drive to certain points to train, and they've done well. They've reached a cup final at Hampden, Peter. I think it's a great place to visit. I mean, it's a long drive.
Yeah, three and a half hours.
Oh, for me especially. I mean, because my wee toodling cars, it took me a long time to get up there.
Did you actually go up to Peterhead in what we would term the anthill mob car, the car that if you opened the door, everything from 1970s fell out of it?
That's right, including me. Something from 1950s through there, that was me. Yeah, I went up there, and up there in the Ford Fiasco, but the great welcome, great club, good people. Jim McInally as well is like, you sometimes forget just what his pedigree is in the game. He's played in the top level in Europe, played for Brian Clough, played for Jim McLean, played in played in international finals of tournaments. I think he played in 1992.
Yep.
I mean, it's what.
He should have had a bigger job. He just did. I just don't think Jim likes the whole structure of certain clubs.
Oh no, he knows what he wants. He knows
that's why I love him.
I'll tell you. I mean, it's great. I see having a cup of tea with Jim McInally in the Costa, the other coffee shops are available in Broughty Ferry, is a wonderful afternoon.
Yeah.
Is Peter Headno with the media, that great media slang about the obituary that somebody posted, somebody was deed. Do you remember that? Just when you said
you've got your attention, Ruffy.
It was in an obituary. It said Peter Reid, for Peter Head, is deed. Volvo for sale.
Brilliant. I've never heard that one, Ruffy. Magic. Anyway, another thing I was going to say to you about him is, he deserves. I think he deserves tremendous credit for the job he's done, and he's had. Well, when he had Rory McAllister, I mean, they were guaranteed goals as well.
But McAllister's still doing it at Cove. I mean, he's just a goal scorer. He's that guy he makes the two runs, and he always chooses the right run. And when he gets a ball in the penalty box, it's 2 minutes later you're kicking off.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Dundee find their way into the final. Just out of curiosity, Ruffy, have you ever been in the Anthill mob car?
No.
No. It's an unusual situation you're in, because the first time I was ever in, it's gone now. It's probably crushed.
Oh, it was. I was taken off.
Yes,
and crushed.
I thought it would have been. I got in the car one day, and obviously you had to get your feet in between the 1970s packet of Tudor crisps and old bottles and everything. And then, because I'm so into my cars, I spotted the engine light on, and he said to me, "That's been on for a few years, don't worry about that." And I thought, this is going to be this is a hear 'em, scare 'em ride.
Handbrake doesn't work.
Yeah,
I've not been working for a couple of years.
Stick your feet out and see if you can stop this. Brilliant. Anyway, thoroughly enjoyed the run in the car. What about the quarterfinals? What did you make of it? Did you want a derby in there at this point? Well, we're hoping for something exciting. Did we get it? Here's exactly how the quarterfinal draw eventually panned out. Hearts against St Mirren, Dundee United Celtic, Dundee against Rangers, and Motherwell against Hibs. So tasty games we were hoping for didn't quite materialise, but then again, who are the favourites, Hugh, to get through to the last four?
Well, you look at that. You look at the draw, and you say to yourself, well, Hearts would obviously be really happy with a home draw.
Yeah.
But it didn't do them. They had a tough game against Livingston, so I would expect them to have a tough game again. I think if you take the games, every game, apart from the two Celtic Rangers games, are definitive favourites. Celtic Rangers are always going to be favourites. But the fact that those games are away from home tilt it a wee bit as well. And the other four clubs will be saying, we've got a shot at the semis here. Yeah. Absolutely shot at the semis.
If you're looking at it, you would say, am I being unkind to them all? But you would look and say, well, if it's the city of Dundee against the city of Glasgow at the moment, by the time you get to the last four, most people will be expecting the city of Edinburgh against the city of Glasgow.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be too far away with that. I think obviously you would expect Rangers and Celtic to win. I would expect Hearts to win at home. The Motherwell Hibs game, the Motherwell have proved at home, they can raise it a wee bit. I thought they were a wee bit fortunate against Aberdeen. I thought they got, a deflected goal and then the goalie drops one. So, but at home, I think they'll make it hard for Hibs. But I think you're right. And it'd be interesting to see if the two Edinburgh teams and the two Glasgow teams there, it'd be interesting who does that draw.
Yeah, absolutely.
As the balls come out.
Yeah, I really don't want to talk about the draw, because it'll get the news when it's not really the news. So anyway, they pulled the balls out. They got the quarter-final ties, the four ties, and quite a lot of people talking about. Hugh Scott says, Peter, I'm going last four of Hearts, Celtic, Rangers, and Motherwell. Kevin says, Peter, good draw for Hibs. Porteous will stroll that game against Motherwell. Kevin's a big Porteous fan, and he thinks I'm not, but Dundee United will get through, says Sharpie, who's a big Rangers fan. Of course, listen, the joy of it all is half of it's a noise up. You have to wait and see exactly who's on it on the day. Is there going to be a shock? I personally think it'll be Hearts, Hibs, Celtic and Rangers. But you never know. Somebody's going to have to produce something out of the ordinary to deny me the four that I've picked. You can give us your view on that as well. Are you picking four, Ruffy?
I'll pick the same four as you.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing as well is when the games are going to be played, particularly if Celtic and Rangers progress in Europe.
Yeah, interesting. The old schedule starting to crack.
Well, you can't. You could have one of the first get-outs to have them both playing the same day, but they can't have them both playing the same day in the same city.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a long while since that happened. I think I'm going back to 1974. Is that fair?
Goodness gracious.
Was that, do you remember? Rangers playing Bayern Munich and Celtic?
Oh, in Europe, in Europe. But I mean, in the Scottish Cup,
Yeah.
you would have them. They can't have them both in Dundee on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Just can't. So, you know, you're going to have one on a Saturday, and if they're both playing on a Thursday, who loses that ballot to have the...
Can you imagine having them both in Dundee on the Saturday? You'd need to see if they could actually just move some of the tanks from the edge of Ukraine.
Just ask Mr. Putin. Just say, Mr. Putin, see the way you're stepping back and you want to do a wee exercise in Tayside instead of the Black Sea.
I think so. I read somewhere that when Dundee United played Dundee actually took a bus from the gate outside the main entrance at Dundee down to the entrance at Dundee United.
No chance.
Yeah.
Did they? I can't remember that. Ruffy. Anyway, listen, we'll find out exactly who's going to make the Final Four in the semi-finals. Give us your view on that. We always like to read out a few of them as well. Stuart Robertson's been speaking to Sky Sports a decade after administration for Rangers. There's all sorts of people were disbelieving of it at the time. 10 years on, the managing director has said Rangers currently, from the key points from his discussion with Sky, this is some of the key points that he highlighted, was Rangers currently in the best financial position since 2015. There's no need to sell players if Rangers fail to win the league title. Rangers don't budget to be in the UEFA Champions League. 900 away fans will return for the next Old Firm game at Ibrox. The reduced capacity for Old Firm will remain for the foreseeable future, and the club's not resigned to losing centre-back Connor Goldson. So, let's pick through the bones of that. Currently in the best financial position since 2015. There was a 5-year period of, even after liquidation, there was a period of, at times, uncertainty, chaos. I mean, I can remember Hugh, I think I must have gone to every press conference at Ibrox, and I don't think Ali McCoist answered a question on any team who were playing going through those divisions.
Or a Goinstein or a Calf.
Nothing. It was all chaos. He was diffusing bombs every week.
Exactly. It's all comparative, isn't it, when he's talking about, you know, the best financial position? You know, it's comparative, you know, because it's still, I mean, he was hinting at making a small profit this year, so we'll see if that goes, because that would be the first profit they've made in, you know, in a long time.
It's 9 consecutive years of losses.
Yep. I mean, since the liquidation, they haven't made a profit.
Yeah.
So that means that it's a comparative thing, you know, how good the figures are. But if they make a slight profit, that'll be a way forward. The rest of the stuff is you know, is basically, I think, what you expect a chief executive to say.
Yeah, I don't buy into this, Hugh. And again, you know, there's a million and one people who were all, you know, prophets, you know, saying Rangers would eventually fold. And for people who followed it closely, and there were a few who had their finger on the pulse, they were right at how it all ended there, because of circumstances and the way the club was sold over to Craig White. But yeah, I don't buy into this. They can't sustain it this time. People are saying it's going down the same road. You know, you get your Celtic fans who are saying, they're going to go down the same road. I look at Rangers now and I think, you know, with Stuart Robertson and with the people in the background, if you've always got people who are willing to put their own money in there and not ask any back, you know, I wonder. I'd love to. Can you imagine Peter and Ruffy showing Barcelona right now, trying to talk your way out of a 1.5 billion deficit?
Yep. I mean, the Rangers thing at the moment is that nobody is going to call them on the debt, because the debt's been transferred into shares.
Yes.
So it's given to people who have put their money in, who have got no reason, certainly no motivation to say, I'm taking this out, or you owe me X and Y. So that's not a danger at all. I mean, the money that's been put in has been put in largely by individuals who are on the board. Yeah.
And no need to sell players if Rangers fail to win the league title. Well, you know, at the end of the day, I've come across 1,000,001 chief executives and chairmen who said there's no need to sell players, and then they sell them. That's just life. That's not just about Rangers. That's anywhere, Ruffy.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not going to talk about the financial side here, but from the players' side of it, they have changed dramatically. They now have assets on the park.
Yes.
I mean, 5-6 years ago, there was no assets at all. So he's changed that completely round, and that's a good thing for the supporters.
And I think Ross Wilson deserves a bit of credit for that.
Yeah,
you know?
they've sold the young boy on, which is expected, you know, and there's Morelos there, there's Golson, there's people you can sell if they want to.
Yeah.
And another thing is they've been very strong not to sell them because they know what's there at the end of this year.
Yes.
You know, and that they've really, whether they've taken money for investors, as Hugh said, and turned it into shares or whatever, their main objective, they've thrown everything into the end of this year because they know what's there at the end of it.
Yeah, and of course, more often than not, I've heard it from previous Rangers chief executives, directors, owners about not budgeting. I've heard it from Celtic as well. They don't budget for getting into the Champions League. If you get, you know, anything from 20 to 40 million, it's a huge bonus.
Yeah, I mean, you can't budget for that. I mean, what you do is you set up two budgets, don't you? Set up plan A, we get in, this is what we could possibly do. Plan B is if we fall here. On the selling the players thing, of course, is it the Rangers' whole business plan is to sell players.
Yes.
I mean, that's the business plan. So he's being kind of cute there. You know, he's saying we don't need to, but they have to. I mean, that's what Celtic's figures this week. 20 odd million. That's boosted by almost 50 million a player sales.
Yeah. Well, you have to look at Motherwell. I mean, Motherwell's PR was quite simply David Turnbull's out the door.
And that's, I mean, that Ross Wilson will tell you, and he said it on numerous statements that we have to be better at player recruitment so that we can sell on, because that is part of our business plan. And on the Champions League, I'm sure, because Stuart Robertson is a businessman, knows his way around a ledger, knows it, he'll be saying to himself, well, this is the pie if we get in, and this is what we do if we don't. I mean, that's just sensible business plans, and every club in the country will be drawing up, game plans of, I mean, you'll have people at Hearts now saying, well, what happens if we get into the European tournament, what happens if we don't, etc., etc.
It's just in a word, and it's difficult to say, at times. I'm putting you on the spot here. In a word, do you think last year was more important, or is this year more important to win the league?
I think I can have two words. For the fans, I think last year was everything, absolutely everything. But if you were actually, being sober, removing yourself outside the bubble of Glasgow, which is a difficult thing to do, you would say this year financially and to the future of the club, in either club, is huge. Whereas, and I'm not underrating it, last year was about prestige, pride, things that are really important to football fans. Yeah. But for sober observers looking from the outside, you'll say, no, this is what it's all about, because the prize, Peter, is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, the one thing and again, it's always good to dissect, discuss, get our thoughts on what Stuart Robertson had to say. The one thing that I have a strong opinion on, Ruffy, is it's a derby that's just been diminished in my mind. So 900 fans will get in, and that'll be for the foreseeable future. So it's
900 away fans.
900 away fans. So it's no longer for me a derby that people will look in and think, this is what. There were times people looked in to see the madness of this city, but I don't think they'll look in and see the spectacle, the colour of two sets of fans anymore. It's killed it.
Yeah, I agree. It's killed it as well. But as we've said on the show, all these clubs that are doing it are looking for the interest of their own fans, and their own fans are buying into it, unfortunately. Yeah. I don't see many fans saying, oh no, we want more Celtic, or Hibs saying we want more Hearts, or vice versa, or whatever. So I just think somebody from above, which we don't have anybody authority who's going to say to everybody, look, this is the rules, there needs to be this percentage to make it a game. I keep going on to our games. We played Dundee United last week. I think Dundee United brought 2,000. They nearly took up the main stand, and the atmosphere was magnificent. Yeah, because of the two sets of fans.
Can you imagine? I'd love to actually sit down with the marketing people for the Super Bowl and say to them, "Come and look at this wee daft country we've got. I'll explain to you what they do, what they get up to, and here's their game plan, and here's their business plan for all the clubs. And when they're under this umbrella, what they do is they all just go into a wee room and they all punch each other. That's all they do.
Yep.
And they just argue like wee stupid men, and they can't see the bigger picture. It was £15 million for a 30-second commercial in the Super Bowl.
I know, and Ruffy fluffed his lines as well. Ruffy called it PZL.
Yeah, exactly.
50 million down the drip.
We're gone.
Take 10.
Isn't it amazing if you really had a marketing team and a group of people who were not pandering, and I include a lot of them, pandering to the minority of lunatics who just want to backstab everybody. Can you imagine you had visionaries that could take the Scottish game to another level?
But it's you can't imagine it, but it's so mired in what it is at the moment. You'd have to get the clubs to vote for that.
Yeah.
So what you were getting the clubs to do is to vote for a diminishment in their powers, and you're never going to get that.
Yeah, you'd actually need, I think, Will Smith's little machine that he had in Men in Black. It erased all their memories.
Well, the great thing about the NFL was that it started from a blank piece of paper, and not that long ago it started as well, and we're only talking about 50 odd Super Bowls.
1967.
And what we were talking about then was that it wasn't the biggest American football franchise, because college football was the big thing.
Yeah.
But they sat down and said, like, what's the best? We need a commissioner. We need a state that no club gets bigger than the rest, so we'll have a draft system that's on blah, blah, blah. We'll think that the NFL logo has to be on everything, and then you'll all get an equal share of this. I mean, in the land of capitalism, it's the most socialist way of going about this. Can you imagine a sport that where the worst team is entitled to the best player?
Yeah. One for one, one for all. Yeah, not quite the Three Musketeers attitude here in this country, but nevertheless, hey, maybe I'm looking out for utopia, but for fans who are growing up now to actually say, oh, the atmosphere was great, there was 900 of us. Give me peace, Ruffy.
Yeah, I mean, I say they're looking after their own, but sometimes there is, when you're looking after your own, when your stadium isn't full, then you'll start looking at, well, maybe we have to let more in.
Yeah.
We're not at that yet.
Yeah. Okay, Hugh, I think it's great that you're on today, because Borussia Dortmund Rangers is a mouth-watering tie. I think Europe for Rangers, when Steven Gerrard was in charge, you were always thinking to yourself, they could go there and get a draw. There's results that you weren't surprised, because he seemed to have the team totally and utterly understanding what European football was about.
Yep.
And they produced some really good results. Are they capable of it against your Borussia Dortmund love?
Yeah, I think, the good news for Rangers fans, the good and bad news. Good news for Rangers fans could be summed up that Erling Haaland won't play, and he's a worldie. He's going to be terrific. I mean, he's terrific at the moment. He's already breaking records, but he's not playing. The atmosphere in the Westfalen is obviously impacted by restrictions. Dortmund themselves are a team this year that are up and down. They can get beat by St Pauli in the Cup, St Pauli's a Bundesliga 2 team. They can be beat by Freiburg 5-2, so they're inconsistent. The bad news for Rangers fans would be that when they're on their day, they've got a really good setup. They've got still some really terrific players.
Even without Haaland?
Even without Haaland, they've got good players. Malin, the PSV guy they bought, is a decent player up front, not as good as Haaland. Gio Reyna is ready to come back, apparently. He'll be important for them. Jude Bellingham in midfield is going to be a mainstay of the England side in the future. He's going to be the midfield general there. They've also got the old heads like Matt Hummels at centre half, Marco Reus up front. So they're a decent team on their day. What Rangers will dictate Rangers' fortunes in this is what kind of Dortmund turn up. Is it going to be Dortmund who are second in the Bundesliga? Or is it going to be the Dortmund that get knocked out by a Bundesliga 2 team?
Yeah.
And there's a huge gulf between those perceptions.
Yeah, well, I think the Rangers fans will be hoping they have an off day, to be perfectly honest with you. When I look at German football and I look at Scottish football, there is a huge gap for me, Ruffy, and I think it's going to be a big call for Rangers to get something from this one.
Yeah, it is, but we've done this on numerous occasions when the Celtic Rangers have come up against quality sides with a pedigree, a European pedigree, and you say, oh, you can't compete. But they can compete. On any given night, you know, if you go about your job properly and you get a wee bit of luck, a wee bit of break here and there, they have proved, both of them, that they can take on Barcelona and, you know, the likes, you know. So you've got to say on the night it's got to be Rangers that produce the goods and the big players at Rangers turn up.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, you can give us your thoughts on whether you think it's going to be a big night for Rangers. Can they produce something? It's 5:45 kick-off here,
Yep.
so you'll be on the case with that one. Can they produce something a wee bit special? Certainly when you look at the coefficient over the last few years, Rangers really have stepped up to the plate for Scottish football. Thanks to so many people who've posted their own thoughts on embracing, and again, as ever, they've lost the thread of what I was talking about with regards to embracing a certain ethos of the NFL to Scottish football. We're not advocating that suddenly there's a player situation where the weakest team gets the best players. That's not what we're calling for. We're asking them to embrace the marketing policy of it, and everybody actually looks for one person trying to drive the whole game forward and bring in money and bring in large amounts of sponsorship money, which in turn goes to the clubs and which in turn helps and strengthens them. But Rory Morrison says, imagine being chuffed about American sports and that's the way to go. Give me a break. Well, listen, if you're getting 15 million for a 30-second commercial, you know, if we could actually just listen, this is a country where we struggle to get Cinch in as a sponsor.
Yep.
For the last 3 or 4 years, we struggled to get a sponsor.
Absolutely,
And we're doing cartwheels for one for a deal that one club won't accept.
We have played other competitions without sponsorship either.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder why, Ruffy.
Well, they obviously look at the package that we've got and they're obviously not happy about it. You know, we used to get sponsors coming in and signing up for 3 and 4 years, you know, and they're no longer there. They take a year, then they look about what they're going to get out of that year, then they decide whether they're going to take any more.
Celtic against Bodo Glimt, if anything, against the Norwegians, who are not really haven't kicked a ball in earnest yet, Ruffy. This could be an advantage. I noticed that Ange Postecoglou was speaking to some of his fellow Australian journalists, doing a little chat with them about Celtic and about his time there and how he finds the club and their social values. And he mentioned as well, you know, he's not going to change the way he plays. He decides the type of player he wants in, Ruffy. He wants them to play a specific way, and that's why he's got his hands very much on the rudder to see who comes into the club. And he says, as far as, you know, playing football, Ange Postecoglou mentioned to his Australian friends that he says, I'm not a plan B kind of guy. I just don't compromise, because ultimately the key thing at the end of the day is winning football games.
Yeah, and I think anybody that's seen Celtic since he's went there must be impressed. It's exciting football to watch. You know, they are steamrolling most of the teams that they come up against, and the play is exciting. You know, it's just when they come in to play a better quality player, a team defensively. You know, it doesn't work all the time. You're always in tenterhooks when they're in Europe defensively, not attacking wise. And if the theory is, you know, we'll score 4 and we might let in 3, as long as that keeps working, that you are scoring 4, it's when you're not scoring 4 and you're losing silly goals, you know, that's when you've got to say to yourself, you know, we need to readdress and have a plan B.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what game it was. Was they were winning 2-0 coming up to half time away?
Real Betis.
Real Betis. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, it's okay I'm saying that, right, we're going to continue, but from a tactical side, you've got to say, well, we should be nice enough to see it to half time.
Yeah.
And there wasn't any indication of that. But if that's his philosophy and the supporters buy into that attacking football and keep signing attacking players, exciting players, then you buy your season ticket.
Yeah, absolutely. Celtic Bodo Glimt, I think in the Conference League, I think Celtic fans will probably feel more confident about getting a result against the Norwegians.
Very much so, and it should play into Angie's Barra in that they've not kicked a ball, so the early onslaught of Celtic, you know, you would imagine could be decisive. Plus, Bodo have lost.
They lost about 4 or 5 players. I was saying that.
So I mean, we don't know who they brought in, but I would imagine, you know, this is a tie Celtic will be expecting to win.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, Ruffy. I'm just checking your new technology on the app, which I don't know if you're aware of, but you know, very soon we'll be able to get to the point where you can actually watch the programme live on your phone, which is great news. You see, I'm working behind the scenes to try and get it so that we get, when they download the app, they'll be able to watch it live on the phone.
Well, you're going in the right direction, because I went into the town last night in the train and everybody was on the phone.
Yes.
There was no communication whatsoever. It was just on your phone.
Yeah. Well, if we had £1 million 10 years ago, Ruffy, I'd have had it then. not that we've got £1 million now. I just thought I'd clarify that for you. Anyway, if you download the app, you get all the latest breaking football news, and of course, you get a chance to watch the football show at your leisure. If you miss it on weekdays, you can watch it on your phone if you've got the app, and it also has all the breaking football stories, and you can check out all the stuff we have in the shop. Which the good news is, Ruffy, I thought you were in brilliant form last Thursday at Social Recluse in King Street in Glasgow. It's a great clothes shop. We've teamed up with them, and our gear is in there, Ruffy. The old the Maestro tops, the Legends t-shirts, and prints and canvas as well. It's all in there. They can get them.
Yeah, it's a worthwhile going in and seeing what there is there.
Good shop, isn't it?
It's super. Very friendly when you go in there and you get a chance to look at all the different stuff that's on the rails, all from different eras, and even the paintings and the prints are great as well.
Your boy would love it.
No.
Yeah, wee bit of Oasis in their Joy Division as well. In fact, Pat Nevin would love it. Yeah, which incidentally, coming up in the next, it's a tenuous link I know, but nevertheless, coming up in the next 7 days, we'll have a one-to-one with Pat Nevin. He's got a book out called The Accidental Footballer, and it's well worthy of reading. Just an insight into a Glasgow boy, loved his music, loved his football, was a tricky winger, and played for Clyde, went on to play for Chelsea, Everton, Tranmere as well, come back and played for Killie, and also for Motherwell, and ended up a chief executive at Motherwell.
Yep, and played for Scotland as well in the 1992 European finals, another one that did that. And also helped DJ with John Peel, and was driven through London in a car with the Cocteau twins, which some people might...
He loves the Cocteau
twins.
He
likes the Cocteau twins.
If it's not that, it's Joy Division, it's and the classic early Simple Minds. Who doesn't like the early Simple Minds, to be honest with you? But it's well worthy of watching, because I'll tell you one thing about him. He's an opinionated boy, and he didn't shirk any of the topics
no, he never does.
That I fired at him. I really have got a lot of time for Pat. Good lad, and it's well worthy of coming out a one-to-one with Pat Nevin in his footballing career and what he's doing now. Really good. If you like your music and you like football, it's well worthy of a listen. It's off the back of our Gordon Strachan interview, which has done really well in the podcast and as our YouTube programme too. So thank you to everyone for watching and all the positive messages that have come out of it. Although I have to say, a fair bit of jip has come Alison's way for our column in the PLZ Soccer on the website, Ruffy, but some people actually maybe read the headline, maybe get a paragraph down and don't actually get to the context of what Alison was saying.
Yeah, I thought yesterday she explained exactly what she meant, and you can see why some people don't really read the whole piece. You know, they just make their mind up with the first couple of lines, and that is it. But no, I think anything she does, she's very serious about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Aberdeen against St Johnstone. Aberdeen with a game that they would like to bounce back after the misery of being knocked out of the cup by Motherwell. I think Barry Robson, who's in interim charge, wants to see some kind of response, some kind of fight tonight.
If you want to win anything, you're going to need to work harder, you're going to need to run faster, and you're going to need to want to win the game more than them. So for me, that looks like a battle. So we need to do that. That for me is so important to take into any football game. Yeah,
a wee bit of fight. That's what he wants. And I'd say if Jim Goodwin gets the job, they will be fighting. But I wonder what type of side Aberdeen, what they'll be like tonight, Hugh, you know?
It'll be interesting because he's got one free shot with Barry Robson, but what he really knows, this is a huge game. You know, we talked earlier about they don't want to get dragged any further down. St Johnstone will be absolutely desperate to take something from this match tonight. And, you know, there could be momentum shifts here. The bottom point is, Barry Robson just wants to, 3 points and move on, and that suggests to me that you'll stick pretty closely to the side that's gone in,
Yeah, I don't quite know if Callum Davis and the St Johnstone boss knows what to expect tonight.
Yeah, probably a little bit of an unknown. We planned for the last game up there. I think it was called off for high winds. So then we've planned again for this game, and now obviously it's a different manager. It'll be maybe different personnel. Don't really know what the team will be. So a little bit of unknown. We've obviously, barring probably 10-15 minutes against St Mirren, we've been on really good run of form, and the boys that's performed with a real positive mindset. So barring the sort of penalty decision at St Mirren, we kind of lost our way probably for 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who you're going for in this one. I think I've gone for Aberdeen to win it 1-0.
Yeah, I went for Aberdeen as well, only on the basis of, I thought if the Ramirez chip over the goalie had hit the back of the net, that it went 2-0 up, and confidence would maybe have grown, but it never happened. Then they lost 2 bad goals. But I think at home with Bruni in the dressing room, I think there will be a reaction here, but St Johnstone's not the team Aberdeen want to be playing up there, because St Johnstone have went up there a couple of times, maybe the 5-1.
Yeah.
And it was right out of the blue, and then they went up there again and they had another one right out of the blue, so maybe St Johnstone's not the team they want.
Ruffy, sometimes I like to put myself right out on the edge. If St Johnstone win 5-1, I'm taking you and Hugh out. We're going for a slap up meal.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
I'm more than happy with that.
Yeah. See if it gets to 4-1 tonight.
Cash out.
My ball's going to crash you. I can't see it happening. Anyway, the good news is, and I think a lot of people will embrace this. The old live on the old app is up and running. You can watch the show live. I'm happy about that, Ruffy. Are you?
My golfing mates will all be happy about it. They all sit in the clubhouse afterwards and moan about because they're retired and whatever. So now they know that it's live. They'll be on it all day.
Yeah, if you update your PLZ Soccer app, you'll see the live football show in there, and you just click on it, press play, and you'll get exactly what's coming out. Great chance to interact as well. And there's also a submission section in the app where you can actually record yourself, and it'll drop in, and if we use it on the programme, we'll send you out something nice. Anyway, what about the SPFL table? Just let's have a look and see what's at stake, top and bottom. There you have it. Still Celtic lead by the point. Bottom end, if St Johnstone win tonight, they will leapfrog Dundee, and Dundee will hit rock bottom again. It's tight down there between those two sides, and then there's a wee bit of a gap. Ross County have managed to build that up there, and they're just tucked in behind Aberdeen. So as you can see, all to play for at the bottom of the table. Now, if you are watching Champions League football tonight, there's 2 games on offer. Here's basically what's on offer for you on the Tuesday night and the Wednesday. PSG, Real Madrid, Sporting Lisbon, Man City. And then on the Wednesday, it's Salzburg against Bayern Munich and Inter Milan against Liverpool. Fantastic games to look forward to. I think tonight, Ruffy, you'd be mad not to watch PSG, Real Madrid. Is that fair?
I think so, yeah. And I think you're looking at the state that Real Madrid are in and Barcelona, and I'm sort of dismissing them for winning it this year. So I think you've got to look at obviously the English clubs, the PSG. Inter Milan are always there or thereabouts. They're all the Italian teams are always quite difficult to beat. But I can't see any of the smaller clubs winning it. So for me, it's one of the English clubs.
Yeah.
Part of the PSG.
Yeah, okay, you're sticking with PSG as your team. I don't know about you, Hugh. Is it this year for Manchester City?
Well, there's no reason why it shouldn't be, except there's one little glitch that Pep Guardiola seems to have an incredible aptitude. Not only is he an amazing and brilliant and genius coach, he's a great aptitude of messing up in the Champions League. When they're literally messing up in the Champions League, getting to the final and saying, right, we've played all season with a holding midfielder. Do you know what I'm going to do tonight, light bulb? I'm not going to play with a holding midfielder.
Yeah.
And gets beat.
There was a period, though, I don't know about you, there was a period when I was watching the Champions League when it was at Barcelona, and I thought, I mean, Rijkaard did really well with his side, but when Pep got a hold of Barcelona, and I'd been to a few finals, and I thought, this guy's going to dominate for years.
And didn't.
Yeah.
And that Barcelona team didn't either. You know, people forget that Inter Milan with 10 men under Mourinho knocked him out. When Pep went to Bayern Munich, he didn't
deliver the Champions League. Yeah.
And the manager before him did, and the manager subsequently did, you know, and he's not done it at Man City. Now, he says today, I feel no pressure and all that. Great, I hope he doesn't. Nobody wants anybody to feel pressure. But there should be pressure there, because Manchester City, in budget terms and in terms of, you know, what they're seeking to do, should be, you know, it should really be, there should be a Champions League on that CV.
Absolutely, there should be. I mean, he's only spent over £1 billion. Surely they should be expecting something. I wonder if he's getting hacked off that everybody keeps asking him about it.
It's the bottom, you know, the bottom of it. That means we are here. So we are in the Champions League. So it's an honor, a pleasure to travel to Portugal to try to compete well and try to win the game, and waiting when they are coming here. So, and after, on the pitch, on the grass will dictate our chances.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Liverpool.
Yeah. I wouldn't argue with that. I think the English clubs are really, really strong, and Chelsea's been through a dip, but Tuchel's a very, very good manager, and if he gets the Chelsea dressing room right again, gets Lukaku back on board, they'll be a force as well.
Okay, guys, this is the fun part of the programme, which I'm really looking forward to, because I was sitting there this morning and I thought to myself, you know, I do think the English clubs are going to dominate for a long while because of just their financial strength. But I thought to myself, I wonder if I go back to the year 2000, Ruffy, okay, since the start of the millennium, and then try and pick the 11 best players from all the teams that have played in the Champions League final. And I've come up with 11 that all have won it. Which unless somebody's going to tell me different, I think my research is these guys have all won the Champions League. So if somebody was going to shout at me and say, why didn't you pick Buffon? Well, I picked people that, I think I've selected people because they've eventually got the Champions League medal. So here's my 11 from the best players, and I finally opted for Neuer in goal, Alves right back, left back Maldini, Nesta and Costa Curta. And then my midfield three, you guys guessed it already, Xavi, Iniesta and Messi. And then I've gone with Cristiano Ronaldo, Lewandowski and my old pal Ronaldinho, because I think a lot of people forget he was absolutely top drawer, world class, flicks and tricks as well, and a Champions League winner.
Right, no.
I mean, Pirlo's not in it.
Yeah, but I mean,
Rooney's not in it.
Yeah, I don't know where, and I love Rooney, but I don't know where Rooney gets into that front three, honestly.
Yeah. Have I missed anybody, Hugh? Have I looked and thought maybe Ramos or Puyol? I mean, Puyol's not Ruffy's favourite.
Not for me.
But for me, Nesta and Costa Curta played into their late 30s and they were absolutely world class. These guys were phenomenal players, and Maldini speaks for himself.
I think Ramos's record is such that, you know, how many European Cups did he win? 4, 5, Ramos? Yeah. You know, that puts him into the argument. But
Costa Curta was part of the great Milan side, and he still played in to win it again.
Yep, and he was under Saki and all that.
Yeah. Cafu in place of Alves?
I don't know. I think that's a pretty strong side. I'm trying to form a really, I mean, like every side you could form arguments, but really cogent, big arguments. I'm trying to think. Modric for me would be, you know, a possibility in midfield, but you drop, you shove Messi out left, and you put Modric at 10.
Every time you think of a player and you look at the player that's in, you go. I was going to say Müller.
Thomas Müller.
But you look at who you've got there, and you go,
going to throw out?
No.
I mean, and remember, it's from 2000. And I mean, Michael's just said Schmeichel in goal. Apart from that, spot on. Well, you know, Schmeichel actually was the 1999 final. You know, it's from.
And Zidane as well just misses out, doesn't he?
He does. And I actually thought about. I mean, the Brazilian Ronaldo never won the Champions League. You know, Beckham never won it with Real Madrid, but he did win it with Man United in the 90s. But the other thing about it is, so that's, you know, and Stuart Ramsey rightly points out, Pirlo is missing for me, but where do you fit them in unless you change the structure of the side?
As I say, you could put Messi out where Ronaldinho is and drop a midfielder in there.
Yes.
You could do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that I'm really eager to slaughter that team, but really can't. I'm just.
I had a look and I thought to myself, that is the strongest. I mean, Michael Kelly says Zidane is the best player of the last 30 years. Absolutely, but you know, it's probably Zidane is a good shout.
Well, that's what I was saying. If Zidane sneaks in, I put him where Messi is and I shove Messi left.
Yes, and then and probably I think, and somebody said Alan Hamilton, great point, Alan, Deco or Kaká, two wonderful players. I think Michael Kelly's actually come up with probably the one that I would probably be looking at and saying to myself, okay, I think Zidane, but Ronaldinho he's great as well. I think Zidane's the one where I'm open to criticism. Is that fair, Hugh?
Yeah, and you could shove the team around because you could play Zidane at 10 and Messi for Ronaldinho, or you could even drop Lewandowski and play Messi right and Ronaldo as your 9, you know?
Yeah.
But I think it's getting to who's vulnerable in that team. I think Neuer's a really good shout because not only does he fit the criteria, but he changed the role of the goalkeeper. He was revolutionary. He made, you know, what Neuer was doing then, everybody's trying to do now.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great shout. Alves and Maldini, absolutely. I would maybe, you know, you throw Ramos in at centre back, you throw Zidane in. I don't think you can argue in the millennium, the 21st century, with Xavi and Iniesta.
No.
Not only were they really important to a classic side, but they again are what teams are all trying to do now as well. They were part of that revolution.
Yeah.
So yeah, a strong team. Zidane in it, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Zidane. I'm taking one in the chin for that. Rafi.
Why did Buffon not make it?
Because he didn't win.
He didn't win it.
Never won it.
He never won it.
Must have been in a few finals.
Three and never won it. I mean, he was absolutely phenomenal as a
But
goalkeeper.
you were in 3 World Cup finals and never won it either.
What about that, Rafi? You went to 3 World Cup finals and broke a lot of kids' hearts at my school. They'll never forget you. And someone says that Ronaldinho goal at Chelsea was breathtaking.
Oh, I did. Toe poke.
And-
I was there that day.
Yeah, and of course the other thing about it is, I'm going to read this out in a minute from Ronnie Chapman, but the other thing about it, let's not forget, Rafi, is Iker Casillas was a teenager when he came on in 2002.
Yep. I mean, the goalkeeping's in positions. I just think, but Neuer was more than a goalkeeper. He changed the position.
Yeah, absolutely. Ronnie Chapman says, Peter, will the live chat be on the app coming soon? Now, there's a there's a line, eh? The live chat. I mean, I'll tell you one thing which has been really, really good about the live chat. Most of the time, Ruffy, I think we're putting out a really strong message. We want people who are football fans who love chatting about football. And I think we'll get a really high percentage of people who are coming on who love their football and are not really affected by lunacy.
Well, I don't look at the screen. So
well, I look at the screen because I think it's great to... Football's about chatting and not being so pompous that you think your opinion is right. I don't mind getting leathered for an opinion.
It's an opinion. That's what we're here. If we were just taking tablets down from the mountain and presenting them, I mean, what a bore that would be. I mean, it's great getting, and I'll tell you another thing about your opinion, is getting other people's opinion and changing your opinion. Do you know what?
Yeah. Well, I think Michael Kelly's done that today.
Exactly.
I forgot. I didn't forget about Zidane. I was looking through and trying to think of the players that I like to see, and Zidane is up there. I mean, he scored one of the greatest. Has he scored the greatest ever Champions League goal?
Oh, Gareth Bale's was forgotten about as an absolute topper.
Well, it was Gareth Bale I was thinking about in the final.
That was an absolute topper.
Ronaldo over an overhead kick.
But that was against. I think that was against Juventus, and it wasn't in a. It wasn't the final. It was like quarters or the semis.
Zidane and Bale would be up there for me. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they. I'm just trying to think back in. There's some terrific goals of old style football from the 1970 Hampden one. You know, where they're just rifling it in from 50 yards at old style. But Zidane and Bale. Listen, I think that's. I mean, the viewers, are we missing? Are we? Let's see.
Is there a better goal?
Is there a better goal?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've got those two.
Koolman's was just a free kick, wasn't it?
Aye.
One?
Koeman.
Ronald Koeman,
Koeman.
92 for
Yeah.
Barcelona. Free kick against Sampdoria.
Sampdoria, yep.
Yeah.
Up and over the wall.
so-
A very important goal.
Good one. Just out of curiosity, I noticed, and he's not, we've managed to get Charlton Heston in, delivering the tablets
that was
down
him.
from the mount. Well done. But I never thought we'd get Piers Morgan in. I'm not a fan. Simple as that. But he says Beckham's the most overrated player in history. He wouldn't get in there in Arsenal Invincibles. He mentioned that on Twitter, and I nearly fell off the chair, and I thought to myself, have a word with yourself. He would get in the Arsenal Invincibles.
he
You
would.
just dropped Lundberg.
Yeah, I seen him.
Or Perez.
Yeah,
I
Beckham I thought was world class.
I remember a World Cup qualifier for England, and he won the game
That's
single-handedly.
Switzerland,
Greece.
Greece.
Good
aye.
time.
Yeah.
Single-handedly. Everything went through him. Everything they did got them to win that game. There's no many people at that level can do that.
I thought he was world class.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was one of the Galacticos. I think one of the funny things about it is players get overhyped, right?
Yeah.
And Beckham suffered from being overhyped outside. The hype of his fashion, the hype of his wife, the hype of his lifestyle actually diminished what kind of player he was.
Yeah, but it didn't diminish him going out on the park.
No,
you know?
but it diminished his reputation as a player. People say, he's just a film star or he's just a celebrity.
Yeah.
You don't play for Manchester United and Real Madrid if you're just a celebrity. You've got to play, especially under fair game. That middle four of Beckham, Scholes, Keane and Giggs, give us peace.
Yeah,
you're saying...
I think you can get gigs in the team.
I know.
I think you can get gigs in there.
But how could you? You're even talking about, all depends what kind of team you're playing, because even Keane in Champions League was, Keane's performance against Juventus in the Champions League, where you're talking about dragging teams over the line. Keane just decided that night, Juventus away, Manchester United are going home tonight as winners. He just decided that, and everybody fell into thought.
Same with Steven Gerrard.
Yeah.
Win the final.
They won a final.
Haven't even get him in.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, just before we go, guys, and thank you to everyone who's obviously mentioned favourite goals. Somebody says Stevie Chalmers. Just gone a wee bit too far back there. It was from 2000 on.
And it was from 5 yards as well. I'm never criticising it.
So I'm not having it. Anyway, just as a footnote to all this, Ruppy, the women's game, the SWL has now moved under they're going to move under the umbrella of the SPFL. So they'll maintain the two women's divisions. They'll run a League Cup. Neil Doncaster has said he was struck by the ambition of all the clubs involved to drive up standards, take the game to the next level and increase participation. So fantastic for the women's game. They'll be under this umbrella and they may well reap the rewards financially as well, I would hope.
Well, I think it's the financial side of it that's going to take the game on. I think it's becoming... The national teams beginning to get big tournaments, and the club sides are all playing in Europe, and everybody else is tagging on. I'd like to mention Partick Thistle just qualified for the next round of the Scottish Cup, beating Boroughmuir in extra time. So, yeah, it's a buzz, absolute buzz just now. And if you're a young girl wanting to learn the game, and be part of the game, it's on the up.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to James Dempster, who just reminded us, what about McManaman's scissors kick? I think that was in Paris against Valencia.
Well, yep.
He was wearing the black Real Madrid strip at the time, I remember. McManaman was a good player.
McManaman's a terrific player.
Anyway, listen, you could pick them non-stop. It's a great argument. It's a great argument for the pub. It's a great argument for us sitting with a can of beer and you with a soda water and lime. I just keep putting my size 10s in with him. Anyway, you with a soda water and lime and me and Ruffy just sitting here enjoying it, the banter about it all. Great to get your insight into Borussia Dortmund, Hugh. If you get a chance, download the PLZ Soccer app, because I think we're well on our way to bringing you the show live on your phone, so there's no excuses. You can just get on there and enjoy it, and over and above that, if you miss it, you can get it at your leisure on the phone with all the breaking sports stories. More importantly, hit the subscribe button. We'd love you to join the football family. If you enjoyed the banter, you get managers and players interviews, you get one-to-ones, you get Ruffy at his absolute best. He makes up words every day of the week, just as long as it suits the sentence, he fires it in there. Doesn't necessarily have to be correct in any capacity.
I'm Maverick.
He is, he's a genius at it. It's fantastic. And I think someone picked up in one of his classic lines yesterday. and he came out with the classic line, in hindsight they were looking forward. And I thought, that's a Ruffyism if ever I've heard one. Absolutely magnificent, couldn't do without him. From Ruffy, Hugh and myself, Peter Martin, thanks to you for watching.